Game Points with Matthew Ross. TSN Matthew on Twitter.com. We're scouring the wires right now. No trade news to tell you about at this hour of the night, but that could change minute by minute. You never know, folks. You never know. Mo Khan helping us out Mo Khan across from me, Stefano Micella helping us out. Mo doesn't really help very much at all. On the board, Jimmy G, soon to be Jimmy the G on Twitter.com. We're back, by the way, on Sunday, 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. www.gamepointsradio.com is our blog. This segment, we're going to talk about some of the topics surrounding the trade deadline. But first, we're going to do the Tweet 10 list. Now, if you haven't heard this segment yet on Game Points, shame on you. It happens most Tuesday nights. And it's a fun little top 10 type of list, but I call it the Tweet 10 list, originally done by Michael Brand, Habs Laughs, on Twitter. Now, the baton, the torch, the number 2 pencil has been passed over to Stefano Micella. And Stefano, what is the topic tonight?
All right. Well, obviously, we have a ton of trade deadline coverage coming tomorrow on TSN and TradeCentre. And with all the trades that have gone on the last few days, it's going to be pretty hard for them to fill up 8 hours, given that a lot of trades have already happened. So tonight we have the Tweet 10 ways for TSN to fill airtime on TradeCentre.
All right. Tweet 10 ways for TSN to fill airtime on TradeCentre. Here we go. Number 10.
iPhone versus BlackBerry debate. They're already on the table anyway.
That's a good point. Number 9.
Yes, it is.
Bob McKenzie, Beyond the Glory.
Ooh, that's intriguing. Number 8.
Is it like ESPN 30 for 30?
TSN calls Stan Bowman pretending to be Paul Holmgren.
Number 7.
Scott Cullen introduces Fantasy Trade Deadline.
Number 6.
Mika Kiprusoff gets a 1-hour special giving his decision on his no-trade clause.
Ooh, where is he going to take his talents? I like it. Number 5.
James Duthie gets a sit-down interview with Pierre Gauthier calling out Marc Bergevin for inheriting the great team he built.
All right, tweet 10 ways here, ways to fill time during TradeCentre. Number 4.
Interviews with people who skipped work to watch TradeCentre.
Number 3.
Brad Richards shares his survival story of Trade Deadline 2011.
A good look back. That's a good idea. Number 2.
John Liu goes around GM offices and asks why they've waited until the last minute to conduct trades.
And the number 1 way to fill airtime during TradeCentre by Stefano Micella.
Full in-depth preview of TradeCentre 2014.
Yeah, there you go. Very nicely done.
Solid.
Very nicely done. Stefano, that is an excellent list. In fact, I implore you to put it up right now on www.gamepointsradio.com. Tweet 10 ways to fill airtime during TradeCentre. And we will tweet it out, please, and we'll try and get the guys at TSN to mention it. Good stuff. I like that.
I mean, they have their production meeting coming up soon, I'm pretty sure. And, I think there's some good ideas there.
Some helpful suggestions.
I could take a few hours off their hands right there.
I can give you an inside look at the mothership and how they produce a live show. I've been there in person.
Yeah.
I can do that for you, Steph, if you wish.
Maybe we could have Moa preview the CFL draft.
We could do that, yes. Tweet top 10 list of the CFL draft, May 6th, 12 noon on TSN.
Funny guys. All right, let's talk about some of the topics surrounding this deadline, which will happen tomorrow. And don't forget, TSN 690 will have all your coverage required on the go. Stefano, give us some topics that we are ready to tackle here.
All right, well, tomorrow the Buffalo Sabres expected to be sellers, and a lot of names being thrown out there. Jason Pominville, possibly Thomas Vanek, and even some rumors have gone around saying Ryan Miller could be on the move. Probably a move that wouldn't be made tomorrow, but again, you never know with teams making a playoff push. Maybe the Toronto Maple Leafs throw their name in the hat for something. So which player is most likely to move out of Buffalo?
Well, I don't know which player is most likely to move, but when you say the Sabres and Pominville and all these guys, the one guy I think about is Rick Jeanneret and you know, the famous play-by-play guy for the Sabres. And I'm thinking when he hears Pominville's traded, he's going to go, no! I just love that voice. But in all seriousness, if you're the Sabres, you gotta do something. You gotta just unload, let it all go, blow it up. This is apparently a very deep draft year, so you have a few games to tank it and try and get that top overall pick. Maybe a player that can really sort of. Yeah, there you go. A little Rick Jeanneret for you there. But I'm thinking that this is really the year for the Sabres. If they're going to do it and reload, this is it. So if you can move some of these guys out for some pieces that are going to help you build that franchise, maybe a couple of maybe they could end up with guys like Vanek and Pominville. Can you imagine the Sabres could end up with like 4 or 5 first-round picks in this year's draft?
Well, you look at Tony Pagula, who is the owner of the Sabres,
Yep.
and he's a diehard Sabres fan, and he's lived and died by the Sabres throughout his time as being the owner. And prior to that, he definitely wants to put a winner on the ice. And I think Ryan Miller could generate a key trading chip for you to get picks and young players along the way. But does he fall into that Joe McGinley category? Remember, the Flames kept McGinley till now, and he's going to be a free agent after this year. Had they traded him, say, a year ago, they probably could have got more in value for Joe McGinley. So you want to know, if you're Darcy Regier, if you're Tony Pagula, do you want to trade Ryan Miller now, get maybe a couple of first-round picks, some young prospects along the way, and build your team from that point on? Because Enroth has done pretty well for himself so far when he's filled in for Ryan Miller this season.
Elsewhere, another team expected to maybe sell another 1 or 2 pieces is the Calgary Flames, and they've already done so with trading Jay Bouwmeester as well as Joe McGinley, but also some names out there, Mika Kiprasov, obviously Toronto again linked to him as well, and even perhaps Mike Camilleri, a guy who's proven that he can step up his game in the playoffs. Maybe a team looking to make a playoff run would want him along the way.
Yeah, certainly a good trigger man that you can rely on, I think, in the postseason. And you need a really good assist guy to go with Camilleri. You can't just bring him in and say, well, it's a good athletic guy with some skill. You got to have a plan when it comes to Mike Camilleri. You know, he's a very specific type of player. So in terms of Calgary, you know, by the way, everyone sort of chastising the Flames for not trading Jerome McGinley sooner, right? Everyone, all the experts, well, the time to trade him was 2-3 years ago. Here's the problem with that. He didn't want to leave Calgary. Why is anybody not mentioning this? It just boggles my mind. Jerome McGinley did not want to leave Calgary 2 and 3 years ago at his peak time. So people need to sort of remember that when they talk about the mess that is the Calgary Flames right now. But when it comes to these players, absolutely, you know, they really have to hit rock bottom if they haven't done it already, and the only way to do that is to ship out some talent and get some picks.
Not only that, though, right? Remember 3 years ago, they had Dion Phaneuf, Robin Regier, Jay Bouwmeester as their trio defense, Matt Giordano on top of that, and they had a team that could have made a deep run in the playoffs, but came up short, losing to Vancouver early in the playoffs. So really, this team has underachieved post Daryl Sutter era as the head coach of the team way back when.
All right, another name that's been thrown out there is the Washington Capitals center Mike Ribeiro, and obviously we're very familiar with him in this city. And a trade that would make sense for me, looking for help down the middle, is the Vancouver Canucks. And obviously, I'm sure they're still looking for a piece or two. They feel they can contend for a cup, but now the Washington Capitals are close to the Winnipeg Jets, just two points behind them in the standings. So they did get Derek Roy from the Stars, but are they looking maybe to add another center here in Ribeiro?
Yeah, it's a good point. But, you know, if I'm the Capitals, I hang on to him. He's been your most consistent forward, or one of this year. And I can't imagine Ted Leonsis is going to ship this guy out. They're still within reach of that division. It's a weak division. You're the Capitals. You're thinking, hey, the Jets, the Canes, really? I mean, they by the way, the Hurricanes tonight just lost Yanni Pickton. They're basically their best offensive defenseman, maybe best all-round defenseman. So they're certainly ready to be had. And the Jets have been up and down. And don't forget, the Jets are going to wear down with that terrible travel schedule, being in the Southeast and playing in the middle of Manitoba. I would think the Capitals think they can win that division. So I don't anticipate Ribeiro going anywhere.